Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you the exact step-by-step formula I use to get more views on my videos. So by the end of this session, you'll have a clear plan to implement immediately. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch the end video, so please don't skip this video.
Hey, welcome back. This European €2 coin might look like everyday change, but what if I told you it could secretly be worth more than most people make in a year? First coin. The €2 coin from Germany from 2004, doesn't look extraordinary at first glance. Yet the moment you hold it under light, you begin to notice the subtle precision that defines its origin. Struck in Hamburg's Mint, where production volumes met strict standards, but occasionally gave birth to anomalies that collectors quietly hunt for years. The coin carries the iconic map of Europe on its reverse, but in early 2000s issues like this one, that map still reflects a pre-expansion design, a small historical fingerprint frozen in metal. Its bimetallic structure, a nickel-brass outer ring embracing a copper-nickel core, creates a contrast that can reveal slight tone variations over time, and those variations often become the first clue that a seemingly ordinary coin might hold a deeper story. What makes the 2004 version particularly intriguing is the context in which it was minted, during a period when the euro was still relatively new in circulation and minting processes were being refined under real-world pressure. Hamburg's facility was known for consistency, but even the most controlled environments can produce slight deviations, and those deviations are where the mystery begins. A slightly off-center strike, a faint misalignment between the inner core and outer ring, or even subtle inconsistencies in the stars surrounding the design can transform this coin from everyday currency into a collectible with a narrative. These are not loud, obvious errors. They whisper their presence, rewarding only those who take the time to truly look. As you rotate the coin, the edge lettering becomes another area of fascination, where the repeating pattern and inscriptions can sometimes show spacing irregularities or faint doubling that most people would never notice. The rim itself, meant to be perfectly uniform, can occasionally appear slightly thicker on one side or show minute distortions caused during the striking process. These tiny imperfections are not flaws in the traditional sense. They are signatures of the minting moment, evidence that this specific coin experienced a slightly different journey than millions of others. Collectors often describe these pieces as having character, a quality that cannot be mass-produced. Then there is the surface itself, where luster and wear tell a story of circulation or preservation. A coin that has remained untouched, with its original mint sheen intact, reflects light in a way that feels almost liquid, while circulated examples develop a softer, muted tone. But sometimes, a coin sits somewhere in between, showing minimal wear yet carrying a unique patina that hints at its passage through time. In rare cases, faint doubling in the lettering or design elements can appear, a result of die movement during striking, and this is where attention to detail becomes everything, because such features can dramatically change how the coin is perceived in the collector world. When it comes to value, the story becomes even more compelling, unfolding like a ladder of possibilities rather than a fixed number. Minor variations or subtle mint differences can place a coin in the range of around $2,500 to $7,500, while more noticeable examples with clearer distinguishing features might reach approximately $9,000. High-grade coins, preserved in exceptional condition with minimal handling, can climb toward $10,000, and certain rare collector-focused pieces have been known to approach $12,000 or even $15,000 when demand aligns perfectly with condition and uniqueness. These figures are always illustrative, shaped by market interest, authentication, and timing, never guaranteed outcomes. But the real excitement lies in the unexpected, where unusual mint anomalies, those rare moments when the minting process produces something truly different, can push values to astonishing levels. sometimes around $25,000 or even far beyond. In extraordinary cases, coins with strong collector demand and distinctive characteristics have been associated with figures near $65,000, and for pieces considered historically significant or exceptionally rare, whispers of values reaching up to $80,000 have circulated among enthusiasts. It's the kind of range that transforms a simple coin into something that could feel like a sudden windfall, comparable to a down payment on a home or a once-in-a-lifetime discovery hidden in plain sight. Of course, reaching those levels requires more than hope. It demands careful examination and responsible verification. The weight should be precise. The color contrast between the inner core and outer ring should remain consistent, and the alignment of the strike must be studied closely. Even the smallest details, like the sharpness of the stars or the clarity of the lettering, can influence how a coin is judged. Professional authentication becomes essential, not just to confirm rarity, but to ensure that what appears unique truly holds value in the eyes of the market. Without that step, even the most promising coin remains an unanswered question. And that is what makes the 2004 J2 Euro coin so captivating. The idea that something so ordinary could quietly carry extraordinary potential, waiting unnoticed in a drawer, a jar, or the loose change in your pocket. Every detail invites a second look, every imperfection hints at a deeper story, and every possibility keeps the imagination alive. Because somewhere out there, another coin just like this might be hiding, overlooked and underestimated, ready to reveal its secret to the one person curious enough to search. And the next coin we're about to uncover might make this one look ordinary. Next coin, the 1999 Spanish 2 euro coin, immediately creates a quiet contradiction, because while it appears to belong to everyday circulation, its date suggests a deeper origin tied to the earliest experimental phase of the euro itself, a time when nations like Spain were preparing designs, testing dies, and striking limited pre-issue pieces that were never meant to flood the public. At first glance, nothing seems out of place. The familiar portrait, the clean outer ring, the structured symmetry. But when you pause and look longer, the coin begins to feel like a fragment from a moment when the European currency was still an idea becoming reality. That sense of transition, captured in metal, is what makes this piece feel less like spare change and more like a quiet witness to history. Spain's involvement in early euro preparation adds another layer of intrigue, because during 1999, official circulation coins were not yet widely released, meaning anything bearing that year sits in a gray zone between official minting and limited production. Some pieces were created as pattern strikes, others as early trials, and a few slipped into collections or private hands long before the public ever saw a standard euro coin. The result is a category of coins that do not always follow the same rules as later issues, sometimes showing slight design adjustments, unusual finishes, or subtle variations that hint at their experimental origin. These are not widely documented in casual guides, which is why they often pass unnoticed. As the light moves across the surface, the visual details begin to separate this coin from typical examples, with the portrait showing sharper contours in some areas and softer transitions in others, almost as if the die itself was still being refined. The stars around the outer ring can sometimes appear slightly uneven in spacing or depth, and the boundary between the inner core and outer ring may reveal tiny irregularities that suggest a less standardized striking process. Even the color contrast can differ, with some coins showing a warmer tone in the center or a slightly muted ring, a subtle but telling clue that the metal composition or treatment may not match later mass-produced versions. The edge of the coin becomes a focal point for those who know where to look, because this is where minor inconsistencies often reveal themselves most clearly. Lettering that should be perfectly spaced might show faint crowding or stretching, and in rare cases, a slight doubling effect can be seen under magnification. the kind of detail that escapes casual observation, but immediately captures the attention of experienced collectors. The rim itself can sometimes appear marginally expanded or compressed in certain sections, a small but significant indicator that the striking pressure or alignment was not perfectly uniform during production. Collectors are drawn to coins like this not because they are flashy, but because they feel incomplete in a fascinating way, like a draft version of something that later became standardized across millions of pieces. There is a sense that each example carries its own unique fingerprint, shaped by the exact conditions under which it was struck. Some coins remain pristine, preserved carefully from the start, while others show light handling that adds to their story without diminishing their appeal. This balance between imperfection and preservation is what gives the 1999 Spanish €2 coin its quiet magnetism. Only after understanding its background does the conversation shift toward value, and even then, it unfolds gradually, shaped by real collector behavior rather than speculation. Notable examples with clear early production characteristics have been associated with outcomes in the range of $5,000 to $12,000, especially when their features are well documented and authenticated. Higher-grade pieces showing distinct minting irregularities can reach around $20,000, while rarer error examples, particularly those with visible structural differences, have been linked to figures near $35,000. These numbers reflect recorded sales and private transactions, moments when the right buyer recognized something special. The upper levels of the market introduce a different kind of tension, where strong mint-state coins with exceptional preservation have achieved outcomes around $50,000, and unusual mistakes that clearly separate a coin from standard production have been associated with figures near $75,000. In extreme cases, where errors are dramatic yet genuine, some coins have reached the realm of $100,000, and there are whispers of extraordinary, one-of-a-kind discoveries approaching $120,000 in rare private deals. These are not promises, but reflections of what has happened when rarity, timing, and collector demand align in unexpected ways, turning a small piece of metal into something that can feel life-changing. That possibility is what keeps people searching, but it also demands a careful approach, because identifying a valuable coin requires more than a quick glance. The weight must match precise standards, the metal color should be consistent with known compositions, and the alignment of the strike needs to be examined closely to rule out damage or alteration. The rim should be checked for unusual expansion, and any sign of letter doubling must be studied under proper magnification. Most importantly, professional authentication is essential, ensuring that what appears rare is truly recognized as such, because somewhere out there, a coin just like this might still be waiting to be noticed, sitting unnoticed until the right person decides to look closer. Next up, the German €2 coin issued in 2003 carries an almost deceptive simplicity, a coin that slips through hands unnoticed while quietly holding the imprint of a system still finding its balance. At first glance, the design feels familiar, the federal eagle standing firm against the inner core, surrounded by the structured ring that defines the euro's identity. Yet something about this particular year hints at a phase where precision and adjustment coexisted. The early 2000s were not just about mass production, they were about calibration, and coins from this period often reflect that invisible tension between perfection and process. Germany's multiple mint system adds an extra layer of depth to the story, because each facility operated under the same standards but produced coins with slight individuality shaped by machinery, timing, and subtle environmental differences. In 2003, the demand for circulation coins remained high, and production lines moved quickly, sometimes pushing the limits of consistency. Within that pressure, small irregularities began to surface, not obvious defects but faint variations that only reveal themselves under careful observation, making each coin a potential outlier hidden within a sea of uniformity. When examined closely, the visual structure of the coin begins to reveal these nuances, with the eagle's feathers sometimes appearing sharper in one section and softer in another, a quiet indication of die wear or slight misalignment during striking. The stars around the outer ring may show differences in depth or spacing, almost imperceptible unless compared side by side with another example. Even the boundary where the inner core meets the outer ring can carry tiny clues, with slight shifts or uneven seating that suggest the components did not align perfectly at the moment of impact. The edge design, often overlooked, becomes one of the most revealing features, where the repeating inscriptions can display subtle inconsistencies in spacing or depth. In some cases, faint doubling appears along certain letters, a result of minute movement during the strike that leaves behind a shadow-like effect. The rim itself can tell its own story, occasionally showing slight compression or expansion in isolated areas, a detail that transforms the coin from a standardized object into something with a unique production signature. Collectors are drawn to these coins not because they stand out immediately, but because they reward patience and attention, offering a kind of discovery that feels personal. A coin that looks identical to millions of others can suddenly reveal a detail that sets it apart, creating a connection between the finder and the object. It's this quiet transformation, from ordinary to extraordinary, that fuels the fascination, turning a routine search through loose change into something that feels almost like uncovering a hidden artifact. Only after that sense of intrigue builds does the conversation naturally shift toward value, where documented auction results and private collector sales begin to outline a range of possibilities. Coins with smaller but clearly identifiable errors have been associated with outcomes between $3,000 and $10,000, particularly when those features are verified and well preserved. Unusual finds that show more distinct deviations from standard production have reached around $18,000, while high-grade coins with exceptional surfaces and minimal wear have been linked to figures near $28,000 in competitive markets. As the rarity increases, so does the intensity of collector interest, with strong error pieces that display unmistakable production anomalies achieving results around $45,000. Extreme mint-state errors, where condition and uniqueness combine, have been connected to values approaching $65,000, and rare misstrikes that clearly deviate from intended design have reached levels near $95,000 in certain sales. In the most exceptional cases, coins that stand alone in their category, either through rarity or historical significance, have been associated with figures climbing toward $110,000, moments where a simple coin becomes something that could change the course of a person's finances, reflecting real transactions rather than promises. That possibility carries both excitement and caution, because identifying such a coin requires more than intuition. The weight must align with precise standards. The metal composition should show the expected contrast without unusual discoloration, and the strike alignment needs to be carefully studied to distinguish genuine errors from damage. The rim should be examined for irregular expansion, and any sign of letter doubling must be verified under proper magnification. Professional authentication becomes essential in this process, ensuring that what appears rare is recognized as such. Because somewhere, a coin just like this may already have passed through someone's hands unnoticed, its true significance missed in a single ordinary moment. Last coin, the €2 coin from the Netherlands, year 2002, carries a calm, almost understated presence, the kind of coin that blends effortlessly into everyday transactions. Yet the longer you hold it, the more it begins to feel like something that doesn't fully reveal itself at first glance. The portrait of Queen Beatrix dominates the inner core with a minimalist elegance, surrounded by clean lines that feel intentional and modern, reflecting a country that embraced the euro with precision and design clarity. But beneath that simplicity lies a deeper story tied to the very first wave of euro circulation, when nations were racing to establish consistency while quietly dealing with the unpredictable realities of large-scale minting. In 2002, the Netherlands was among the early adopters pushing coins into circulation at an unprecedented pace, and that urgency created a unique environment where production efficiency sometimes brushed against the limits of perfection. The Royal Dutch Mint, known for its craftsmanship, was working under intense demand, and within that pressure, subtle variations began to emerge, not obvious flaws, but quiet inconsistencies that only reveal themselves under careful inspection. These coins were not meant to be rare, yet certain examples from this period carry the fingerprints of that transitional moment, making them stand apart from later, more stabilized issues. The design itself offers clues for those willing to look closely, as the fine lines surrounding the portrait can sometimes appear sharper in one section and softer in another, suggesting slight die fatigue or uneven striking force. The stars along the outer ring may show barely noticeable differences in spacing or depth, creating a pattern that feels just slightly off when compared to perfectly aligned examples. Even the contrast between the inner core and outer ring can vary, with some coins displaying a richer tone or a faintly altered hue, subtle indicators that the materials or finishing process may not have been entirely uniform during early production. The edge of the coin becomes a critical point of focus, where the repeating inscriptions and patterns can reveal the most telling details. In certain cases, the lettering shows faint doubling, a delicate echo effect that appears only under magnification, caused by minute shifts during the striking process. The rim itself can sometimes appear uneven, with slight expansion or compression in localized areas, a physical trace of the immense pressure applied during minting. These are not dramatic errors, but they are enough to transform a standard coin into something that carries a unique production story. Collectors who encounter these variations often describe a moment of hesitation, where they question whether what they are seeing is real or imagined, and that uncertainty is part of the allure. A coin that once seemed ordinary begins to feel significant, and the possibility that it could be something rare creates a quiet tension. There are stories of coins like this being spent without a second thought, only for similar examples to later surface in auctions, revealing values that turn those overlooked moments into unforgettable what-ifs, the kind of missed opportunities that linger long after they're gone. As the narrative shifts toward value, it unfolds through documented auction results and private sales that highlight just how far these coins can travel beyond their face value. Minor errors or subtle variations have been associated with outcomes ranging from $7,500 to $18,000, particularly when their features are clearly identified and preserved. Unusual misstrikes, where the production process left a more noticeable mark, have reached around $25,000, while high-grade coins with exceptional surfaces and minimal wear have been linked to figures near $40,000 in competitive collector markets. The upper range introduces a different level of intensity, where strong mint-state errors with undeniable uniqueness have achieved results around $55,000, and rare misstrikes that clearly deviate from standard production have been connected to values near $80,000. In extraordinary cases, coins that combine rarity, condition, and strong collector demand have reached approximately $120,000. And there are accounts of extreme or one-of-a-kind examples climbing as high as $150,000 in private transactions. These figures are not guarantees, but reflections of real moments where the right coin met the right buyer, creating life-changing outcomes from something once dismissed as spare change. That potential demands a careful and responsible approach, because identifying a coin of this caliber requires more than a quick glance. The weight must align with official standards. The metal color should remain consistent without unusual alterations, and the strike alignment needs to be studied closely to distinguish genuine minting irregularities from damage. The rim should be examined for uneven structure, and any sign of letter doubling must be verified under proper magnification. Professional authentication is essential before making any decisions, because What appears valuable must be confirmed by experts who understand the nuances of early euro coinage. In the end, the 2002 Netherlands €2 coin stands as a reminder that extraordinary stories can hide within the most ordinary objects, waiting quietly for someone to notice the details that others overlook. A single moment of curiosity can turn a routine habit into a discovery that changes everything, and that possibility is what keeps collectors searching through jars, wallets, and forgotten drawers. If you found this journey fascinating, make sure to subscribe and stay connected, because the next coin we uncover might be even more surprising, and somewhere out there, another hidden treasure is waiting to be seen.